Hi and welcome to Phoenix Crypto. My name's Andy and welcome to another edition of Market Watch. And firstly, it's been a while. It's been probably about a week and a half, simply because I wasn't very well last week. Nothing too serious, but did manage to spend a couple of days in bed. Wasn't feeling too well, and some of the family were also a bit unwell. So not really a great week in our house here. But now back with looking at exactly what's going on in the market. And it's been an interesting few days. So if I recap, we had this brilliant sell-off up here and we capitulated completely, 42k, pretty much on the nose. That was a week last Friday, so it'll be 2 weeks, in a few days' time. And since then, it's been a bit choppy. We had a nice move up, reversal signified by the triangle. We've come back down. We had a nice move up that I actually missed, and I really only started to really think, how is this really the signs of us really moving up? Should I be entering in? And that was a bit tricky. I really missed that move really, and one of the reasons why I missed the move was a distinct lack of volume. And volume's really important in trading, and it's probably one of the few things that isn't very well represented in indicators. We've got momentum, we've got average price, we've got support and resistance, RSI levels, divergences. We've got all these different things. But volume is quite important. More people are selling, then the price will go down. If more people are buying, the price will go up. It's not particularly complicated. So trying to understand if lots of people are selling at that moment is quite important information. And when it looks like the price is moving up, but you can see the volume isn't there, it's a case of, well, if this is such a good move up, why aren't people, getting in on it? And I know it happened a little bit over the weekend, but why? So that's the reason why I didn't really get into it. There wasn't the volume, and I was habitually nervous. And most of the people in my Discord group know that I like to trade safely. I don't like jumping in just because everyone else is jumping in. I don't like FOMOing in. I like to be sure. I like to minimize risk. At the same point, I still trade with 125x on Bitcoin, so it's not like I don't take any risk, but I try and manage the amount of risk I'm taking on, and that's really important. So, and then what we did catch was a lovely move down. I think my Bitcoin trade was about 760%. I can check that out. My Ethereum short was around 800%, just over. So really caught that. We then entered a few trades down here. I had an XRP trade. I think it got as high as 350%. Got a nice trade on Sol, Litecoin, but I still kept my shorts open on Bitcoin and Ethereum to hedge. Started getting pretty confident over here, and of course prices reversed. So I've closed a lot of those longs. I've got a couple of shorts open while I'm waiting for Bitcoin to work out what it wants to do. If I look at our trusty faithful, this is VMC Morpheus on a 4 hour. I closed some shorts simply because of that VWAP closing over the zero line, the red dot, which neither of which are confirmed. So we've got 3.5 hours left to go. They may not confirm. That's always a risk. However, and we often see like a red dot, green dot. So there's nothing to stop us printing a red dot and then the next 4 hours printing a green dot, right? So just because I've closed my longs doesn't mean that I think we're going to 35k. Just means that I'm trying to manage the amount of risk I've got open at this point in time. What we can say though is we've got lovely bit of momentum, and what I think may happen is I mean, ideally we'd have come up and then gone down, you know, and then we'll go up even further, right? That's what I would ideally have liked to see happen. So dipping down now, could be like this: we dip down and sharp move up, right? So closing the longs could be an issue. You know, that could happen. But you know, if I look at 3 hour, you know, that's not looking too pretty. 2 hour, that's not looking too pretty. 1 hour's looking a bit better actually. 1 hour, that VWAP is curving round slightly, but it's still pointing very down. And you have to say, look at the money flow. Money's coming out, right? Money's coming out. So, you know, it felt prudent to minimize risk and watch. And I think it's really important that people know and understand. You know, people. A lot of people tell me, "Oh, I understand risk management." You know, that's fine. Intellectually, they might, but do they practice it? And a huge part of risk management is patience, waiting for the trade to make itself available. You know, sometimes these trades or the setups for the trades, the price action, you know, it needs to mature. It needs time to develop, and once it develops, the signs then become obvious, and that's when it's easy to get into a long, get into a short, and you can make those moves. When you don't have those signs, a lot of what people do is they jump in prematurely. They try to find signs that aren't really there, and they wonder why price reverses on them. They wonder why things don't go their way. I mean, look, the signs were very good. Everyone in my group was thinking things were going up. I wasn't the only one. And of course, we've reversed, you know, and you know, quite a good amount, and wiped out most of today's gains. You know, and that happens. That's just part and parcel of trading. You know, we're not can't look into a crystal ball. However, the amount of risk that we expose ourselves to is really important, and not a lot of people really get that right, and being able to let the trade setups mature and develop, and then once they become clear and obvious, that's when you enter. You know, and a lot of people try and catch the absolute bottom. It's very difficult to do. It's very difficult, and inevitably what happens is, you know, you might have when this shorted here, you might have thought, well, what we've hit, you know, 52k, that's the bottom, and somebody tries to hold that or catch that, and then we drop another, you know, $10,000, you know, in what is that, an hour? You know, somebody could have been liquidated. You know, that's the danger of trying to catch absolute bottoms. It's very difficult. And the only way to do it really is with, you know, limit orders set that are speculative. You know, you could have laddered down every $1,000 and you get there, and it's, you know, that's how you can catch an absolute bottom. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Very difficult. So if I go to a higher time frame, so I'll split my screen slightly to make it easier for people to see. So if I go here onto 12 hour, I'll need to do the same here, and let's get rid of that, and let's put on, this is one of the cryptograph indicators. I've changed the it's actually bars. The VWAP here, the yellow and red, is supposed to be bars, but I prefer it as a line. What I really like is that it goes red as soon as it goes down, and not necessarily when it crosses below the zero line. I quite like that. So, you know, it shows quite clearly. So if I look at a 12 hour, you can see here price has gone down, and you can see here now quite a clear divergence, you know, between this pink and this kind of, I'm not going to say white, but it's slightly lighter pink. So we do have that there is a clear divergence. And because this drop was so severe on the higher time frames, I am expecting more bullish divergences to appear, and inevitably what that will mean is the will go up. That is fairly typical. If I look on the daily here and see if I can just get rid of the support and resistance lines, not easily. They are not in a folder, which is annoying. Okay, I will get that sorted for next time. And the reason why I wanted to get rid of the support and resistance lines is I really wanted you guys to see the Keltner band, and I'll actually show a trade I did on the Keltner band today based on that, and it's a good example of why I'm such a fan of the Keltner band. You can actually see it here. So Keltner band is based on average price. So as the price moves down, the band moves down, right? So and it's a visual representation of RSI. So you can see here that wick hit the outside of almost the very edge of the outer lower band, and that is typically a good place to long because price can't be sustained, so it goes up. So that's a good example, and you can see here, we're getting towards the upper side of that band. Price comes back down, right? Not quite up here, but we're still in the band. Price comes down, right? So it is a good way to help trade. Works on scalp and swing. So looking on the 1 day, that's not too bad, if I'm honest. If I go back to VMC, the VWAP's moving up. Sorry, this is 12 hour, and I'll go to the day. Red dot, that VWAP there looks pretty ugly. That does not look too nice at all. So that's a bit of an issue. Let me get rid of this line here. So money flowing out, is that going to continue? If we look at a 2 day here, that's just a flat line, no decision. We've got a green dot. When is that going to confirm? Let's see, 7 hours. So that kind of goes a little bit counter to the daily to a degree. If we go to the 3 daily, we've kind of curving back round a bit. So that could curve round and come back down, or you can curve and then just spike up, right? But you'd expect a green dot to come up there at some point, and there's only so long we can maintain down here. Does it go green dot like this and go up, or does it, anybody's guess at the moment. I'm not sure anyone really knows too much. So we've got some optimism, but there are still some bearish signs in here. If I go to lower time frames, that's not looking quite so hot. So there isn't a really clear trade setup other than to say we're low on price and at some point it will come up again, which is really terrible logic because it doesn't have to do anything at all. What I would say, and let's see if I'd get the right indicator. This is a 2 weekly view. I think for anyone who's watched my last video, you can see we broke down below the bull market support band, and on this 2 week, which has got just over 5 days left, we did go as far and see if we can really see it there as just touching. I think that's the I'm not sure, that might be the 20-week EMA, and we've rejected off there, and we've come back down, and we've been kind of oscillating within this kind of space. And so that's not so three fortnights, 2 weeks, 6 weeks of bearish action. I think that will continue. I don't think in the next 5 days we're gonna suddenly get to 52,000. Is it possible? Of course, anything's possible, but right now, it doesn't really feel that we'll get there. You can see very slightly that price has crossed. Now, price crossed here in April, and then we went on to have this massive capitulation. I think it was like 45% or something, move in May, which I think most people remember, and we took a few weeks to really kind of get out of it. We may not necessarily take that long. If I go to here, look, we capitulated out of it. Yeah, it took a few weeks, but that's quite a few consecutive green weeks, so that's good. We could have that next. Are we going to? I'm not sure. Although this felt like a painful move, it's not the size of that one quite clearly, or others, and therefore, how long, I don't think it's going to take many green candles to get above the bull market support band. Got to remember, these are all based off averages, right? So we'll be replacing some of these here, so some of these, the averages will go up, which is fine. So there's a little bit of work to do to get back above that. And I think somebody asked me yesterday, is the bull market over? And I don't think it has to be over. But it takes time for price to kind of, and you got to think, the market cap is getting bigger and bigger. To move Bitcoin now takes some serious amount of money, right? Really serious amounts of money. So these bigger moves might take longer to build up to. I think somebody said to me yesterday that next May is going to be a bearish month. And I said, why? I said, well, because it was bearish this year. And it's like, well, last year November and December was off the chart, right? You can see it here. Went nuts. Does that mean that this November, December is going to go nuts? Well, it doesn't mean that at all, because it clearly didn't. November was, we were looking at Plan B's 98k prediction. Well, we did not hit that at all. We didn't even come close to hitting that. So past performance is not an indicator for future success or future performance. And I think people need to realise that I don't think Bitcoin gives a shit about what happened last year, last week, last month. Takes time to mature. We've got the MACD, we just crossed off to over in May. So we've got some bearish, so another bearish indicator. You can see that every, it does happen. Obviously this was is a bear market, so that took for most of the year, whereas oops, didn't mean to do that. If I look again to May, it took a few months, but it's not that long really. This wasn't that long either. This one, that could be the same, right? There's no saying. However, these have typically been quite big moves down. Last two around 45%, two before 67%. I think we've only had 5. So it is significant. It is significant. Going back to Cryptograph, let's just have a look at a couple of coins really. So let me just go back to a single layout. Right, so let's just get out of that view, see if we can find. So I'm just going to focus a little bit on Doge really today. This was a trade I was in. I'm going to be completely honest with everyone here to say it was purely speculative. I felt that the price was obscenely low, and therefore, let me just try and move to. I felt price was extremely low, and therefore it was worth getting in. I was looking at some potential longs, I looked at XRP. I caught a very good bottom of that. Speculative, I think that got to about 350%. But I got into Doge, and I was actually going to close it this morning, but I didn't, which was lucky because Elon Musk decided to have to tweet this out, and I'm not sure what point I took profit, but I saw it went up to about 950%, and then I saw it went to 1250%. I then closed it, and then I shorted off that and made around 450%. In fact, that short is probably still running. Why did I short? So you can see the Keltner band, and then you can see how Doge, yes, it exploded, but it exploded so high, right, to a point where price just can't be sustained outside the band for very long. And when you get this mega extreme pump, people always look to long these, and they think it's gonna, they just think it's gonna just keep going up forever. And guess what? It doesn't. Doesn't happen. And really, one of the best plays, and one of the reasons why I really like the Keltner bands, is you can short this, and it's probably an easier play to find than the long. I'm not sure anyone knew that maybe outside Tesla that Elon was going to send out a tweet and that was going to skyrocket Doge, and therefore it's hard to predict those things. How quickly between Elon's tweet did Doge suddenly skyrocket? I don't know what the lag was. I'm sure somebody can tell me. Put it in the comment if you know. But shorting this, that was a much easier play, much easier. If anything, I went too light with my short, and I should have been bolder. That's probably what I'd say. What you can also see though is price, like I said, is based on average. It has moved to try and capture some of this. So we're still high, but we're at the lower end now compared to this bit here. Completely, couldn't be sustained, and it moves down very quickly, very quick. So that was a little bit of luck, I'll be honest, to be in the long. But I think the short, and I think I'm a big drawing random lines, which I often do. I'm a big fan of cryptograph. It's an indicator that I'm really still trying to learn to master, really enjoying it. And actually the introduction of the Keltner band, which is fairly new, has completely changed. It's a real enhancement to the way I trade. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great addition. And hopefully, other people will find the same thing. I spoke to the developer a couple of days ago, and I suggested that he put on alerts, for when price moves outside of the band, which he did turn around very quickly. So that's great, isn't it? It's great when you've got such a responsive developer like that who understands. He trades himself. I know, he's a great guy, and understands how these things can be used and how to try and and obviously he wants people to try and get full value out of the indicator. So it's an indicator that I'm really trying to spend a lot more time with, and there's quite a few here. I still like Wolfpack Pro. It's still a go-to indicator for me, that I couldn't be without. But I am very much liking the way that cryptograph works. I find it really useful, and I think it's a good addition to anyone's kind of suite of indicators. So well worth checking out. The link will be, I think I've already got a link in the description below, so check it out. Right, I'll call it there really. Thanks very much for joining me. If you like the content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share it, really appreciate it. If I can get to 100 subscribers, then I can actually get a custom URL for the channel, which would be great. That'd be really great. So please help me do that. Share the video. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll try and get out another video much sooner. Thanks a lot.